Now, what I'd like to do before I pass it off to the other speakers is I just had a few words that I wanted to share with all of you. And it's in the continuation of our theme of having a plan, having sustained execution, and then meeting your destination. And destination, as we talked before, is kind of like a double meaning. You know what's interesting in life, and when you come to work for Balboa, you get a plan, don't you? Your boss gives you a plan. It's kind of like a plan with a lowercase p. Because it's generic. It's spoon-fed to you. You said, hey, you're going to get this job, you're going to be in this workstation, and we expect this from you. In most cases, what do? Well, they expected it of me. I guess I should do it, right? And then some of us do it as agreed. Some of us do a little less. Some of us do a little bit more. But I guess the posing question is, what are you capable of? What are you, as an individual, as a human being, what are you capable of? Will the expectations that are put in front of you when you start or when they're reiterated to you, will that either ignite or will that minimize your results? Some people say, well, if they need 80, I'm sure they'll be good with 79. Some people look at it and say, if they want 80, I'm going to kill everybody. I'm going to do 120. It just depends on what your mindset is. I think that there are actually a few people that excel regardless. Wouldn't you agree? We've been around all of those people. But I think that this message today is for the procrastinators. This message today is for the underperformers. Now, I don't mean underperforming like bad. I mean like underperforming based on what you're capable of. Because only you and your mommy and your daddy know what you're capable of. And I can tell you, I can encourage you, I think you're capable of more. Sometimes you give yourself an easy way out. You're capable of more. These are the guys with the best intentions, but maybe lack the staying power. How many of you would say, I'm a procrastinator and I'm proud of it? Yeah. You know who you are, right? Starts with something like this. One of these days, I'm gonna... ... As soon as so-and-so. And then it ends with, well, if I didn't get hurt, if I didn't get sidetracked, if I didn't get sick, if my brother didn't come to live with me, if my girlfriend didn't break up with me, it's because of my boss. Usually it's because of that, isn't it? It's because of my boss. My coworkers don't like me. I mean, it starts to kind of add up, right? My coworkers don't like me. That's why I'm minimizing my success. If I didn't like chocolate so much, then I'd be more successful. Who subscribes to chocolate? Come on. All right. Well, maybe tomorrow. Well, I guess what the question then is for some of you, what will it take for you to push forward and overcome? Will it be another failure, another job maybe? Will you be embarrassed maybe and just kind of back away? My message this morning is not to call out the procrastinators, the people that struggle with procrastination. My message this morning is to encourage you. Let me just show you something that I saw the other day in the Friday paper. Who knows Jimmy Johnson? Yeah, right? Who are NASCAR fans? Now this guy is very, very accomplished. 43 years old, 7-time NASCAR champion. You know, I just never really got race car driving, right? NASCAR. These guys are like rock stars, right? In this area of the country. 83 Cup wins, 7-time, only behind Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty. Now, this was, and I read the whole article, this was Jimmy's plan. He said, hey, even though I'm like this rock star race driver, I'm going to run a marathon. And not only am I going to run a marathon, I'm going to run it in 3 hours. You take your smartphone and you do the division, that's like 712 for 26 and some miles. Well, anyway, that was part of his plan, right? He also wanted to show support for the people in Boston that got hurt a few years ago in 2013. Now, this guy is involved in his entire regimen. It's like incredibly taxing to be a NASCAR driver, but he was up at 5 a.m. He's running 60 to 90 minutes a day, plus race car driving. Now, what were the obstacles that he met, right? Because if you have a plan and you're looking to execute, you're going to struggle sometimes. He had constant soreness. He had lack of energy. He was yearning for more sleep. He had an IT band problem. He had a calf problem. But you know, look at some of the quotes. He goes, dang, I said I wanted to run 3 hours, meaning I need to get up at 5 a.m. He said, it would have been so easy to half-ass it. I know this about myself. I have to set these lofty goals. That's the only way. I motivate myself. And then you think, wow, that is kind of accomplished. I don't know if you saw, it was in yesterday's paper that Jimmy Johnson, he didn't make it in 3 hours, 3:09. That is hauling. You know, it really, if anybody says I don't have the time, it would be tough to dispute that, right? Because this guy is busy, traveling all the time, and yet still running. Well, let me show you another example. Maybe what you're saying is, hey, I'm not Jimmy Johnson. I'm not a rock star race driver. I'm not a runner. Well, let me show you somebody who came from much more humble beginnings. Yep. Have you ever heard of that saying, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere? Well, actually, this is me. This is me with my dad. I think I was like 4. You know, one of the things when I was young, as you can tell, is a little bit heavy. When they used to hem my pants, I used to see the pockets come through the bottom, so you could tell I was a little bit heavy. Now this in the second from the left, that's my me on my first date. She drove. Yeah. I don't know why, I was wearing the same shirt the same day. That's with my mom. Now here's the thing, right? I was either, coming up in my career, I was either saying, am I going to get in equipment finance, or am I going to be a swimsuit model? So equipment finance was way more attractive and appealing, so I gave up on the far right. And I got to tell you, it's hard getting rid of that fan. But let me, if I could, the reason that I showed you that picture is that all through my early life, I was explaining to people that no, I was big framed. No, it's not. No, I'm muscular. I'm muscular. No, really. Phil's big bone. He's big bone. Yeah. So, in any stretch of the imagination, the song that the boss sang, you can tell that I was not born to run. Right? Get it? Boss, Springsteen, run, born to run. Okay. My point here is that I'm a terrible runner. Jimmy Johnson, and he's running. He's not even jogging, he's running. I'm a terrible runner. I get hurt all the time. But in 2004, I was at a mixer, and I've been running like 3 times a week, and I was with one of my peers, and he said, nobody can run a marathon. I go, you know, I've read, internet was, oh, by the way, many of you thought that photography wasn't even available when I was growing up, right? That disputes that. So anyway, we're at this mixer, and my buddy, Craig Winermuth, who is the president of ANGS, he says, nobody can run a marathon. I said, you know, I think somebody who's running 5 miles a day can run it in a month. He goes, no, you can't. Well, here's Craig. Everybody, some of you might know him. So I said, you know, I think I can do it in a month. That was kind of like being my big, bold prediction. And I said, I'm going to run around from my mailbox 23 times in my neighborhood, and that will be a marathon. He goes, no, that's not validated. You got to run a public, you know, a sponsored race. So I said, I'll bet you $10 that I'll run this marathon. You appreciate this, right, Elizabeth? I'll run this marathon for $10 and I won't stop. He goes, you're on. I go, you know, now just for you, you guys knowing me and being risk averse, I would normally bet 5. 10 was leaning over my skis. Well, anyway, just happens. 6 weeks later, they're having the Spokane Marathon. What I didn't realize, it's hilly. What I also didn't realize was that at the time, I couldn't take my iPod. So the only thing that I listened to that whole time was me talking to myself. Don't you stop, don't you stop. And that was all that I heard, the whole 26.3 miles. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing that I want to share with you. Here's that little token that I got at the end of the race. Man, I was so sore. I needed a shower. I wore a black shirt. It was before they wicked everything. I was like completely salty. The only time I wear this medal is when I go shirtless. So, what is my point? Well, let's look at just a real big, basic idea of having a plan, right? So it's real easy. I wanted to run a marathon without stopping, right? All I had to do was run 5 miles a day, Monday and Wednesday, and then go long on Saturday morning. Kind of easy, right? I just committed it to writing. Went a little bit longer on the first Saturday, a little bit longer on the second Saturday. And believe you me, I am not bragging because I run ugly. Super ugly. What else did I have to do? I had to slow down my runs, about 1 to 1.5 minutes per mile. Number 2, I had 6 weeks till the marathon was coming up. My buddies told me, internet was kind of sketch then. Drink water at every station. Whether you're going to throw up or not, take water. Take ibuprofen before, eat that goo, have hard candy in your shorts. Now the reason I'm not bringing up pictures, I think I ran that race in swim shorts. That was an ugly sight. The other thing too that I failed to put down, when you run a marathon, you need Band-Aids to put them in the strategic areas so you don't chafe. That was, yeah, you know, you run, you know that. So what was the destination? A finish line, don't stop, and take Craig's money for $10, right? The only reason that I say this is because I was saying from the beginning, from humble beginnings, don't put limits on your expectations for yourself. You don't have to be a gifted runner. You just have to be committed to that plan. Now here's the one thing that I would say. We took this picture today. Guess who that is? Yeah. So, you know, here's my summation before I pass it off to Terry. And this is what I surmise. You know, you win once. You could say that's happenstance. That's lucky, right? You win twice. All of a sudden, trends are up. All of a sudden, you're encouraged. All of a sudden, your hunger grows. You win 3 times, and then you expect it of yourself. You know, that's what we're shooting for today. I encourage all of you, because this is an individual message, I encourage you to be your best self. Because you don't have to be Jimmy Johnson. You can come from very meager and humble beginnings to be your best self. Now, what I'm going to leave you with Terry is I'm going to give you something. What is the icon in pencils? It's a Ticonderoga. A number 2 Ticonderoga. And I promise you in the next day or two, one of those Ticonderoga number 2 pencils is going to be on your desk. You might have to sharpen it yourself because you're going to have to show a little bit of initiative that you really want it. And then lastly, I'm going to put a poker chip on your desk. And what it is it's a picture of that fractured target, that updated target, that enhanced target of what the expectations are of yourself. And what I would ask that you do is you take that poker chip and make the bet on your success. Best of luck, and thank you. Terry? I'm leaving now.